Skip. I think that's tough. I don't think it's high at all. I think it's relatively low because he doesn't have the numbers. And you know how I am, Skip.
Here we go again. Yeah.
Regardless of the spot.
Yeah.
You got Jokic averaging 26, 12, and 9, I think. You got Embiid, he's hurt right now, but averaging like 30. You got Luka Doncic averaging 35, 10 and 9, or 9 and 10.
Yes.
Like, Skip, you're not going to 24, 4, and 6 is not going to get it done for the MVP. Giannis is averaging 31 and 11. You're not going to get MVP over those guys with 24, 4, and 6, regardless of what your team's doing. If they're number one in the West, I mean, it would be cool. It'd be a great story. Hey, they got a great team. They're doing great things. But the MVP of the league is probably one of these other guys that's carrying their team statistically, and that's usually who it goes to. So I would think it goes to Giannis, Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, it could go to Luka, but, I don't think they're playing well enough right now for him to get it.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of the MVP situation for Kawhi. The beginning, today on this show. This is going to start the momentum to carry him into the MVP race to a whole nother level. And what I mean by that, though, Skip, is if they win the West, that means that they probably are going to be a top 4 in the league record-wise. They're going to be in the top 4 if you go Boston, Milwaukee, Minnesota, then the Clippers. I think that'll be that top 4. He plays on both ends of the floor, though. So when you start talking about outside of Giannis, the other guys that have the potential opportunity, Embiid's hurt. So he's going to lose.
He's out.
He's going to lose on that.
Yes.
Kawhi Leonard has been known to do what? Rest, not play, load manage. Well, he's played 43 out of the 47 games this year. So that's the whole season to me. He's played the entire season thus far. Now when you start talking about the 24, 6, and 4, he's shooting 45% from 3. There's only that says that he ranks 4th to 5th in the league.
He's 4th,
Okay, at a 45% clip. It's pretty good.
I think it's pretty
It's
great.
sensational.
Yeah.
And the team is winning. And so you get that eyeballs and you get that momentum going in this situation. So I think the odds for him to win it is pretty good. I don't think I understand what Rich is saying. Typically, you look at it, you go, guys,
absolutely,
he's averaging 30. Oh, my God.
You just do. Yeah.
But he's lights out, efficient across the board.
Yeah.
And when you're efficient across the board and you lights out, well, you can't give it to nobody in Boston. I mean,
you can give it to Giannis.
You could give it to Giannis. But like
31, 11, and 6.
But what we've always seen is people it's one of those deals, Skip, tired of giving things to the same people over in the NBA. Tired of giving it to the same guys all the time. Now Kawhi is, remember what I said, the Clippers are on to something, top 4 in the league record-wise. And they've won 25 out of the last 30. And I tried to tell you, Skip, when you said it wasn't going to work. Just wasn't. And I know you're still waiting. I know you're still waiting. You're still waiting, but there's nothing to wait for. This is what they're going to be. And their coach, and Ty Lue, said, give me 11 games, and I'm going to tell you what it's all about. So, I do believe Kawhi Leonard is going to be right at the top of the heat when this race comes down to the end.
So do I. So, Richard, this is Lamar Jackson all over again to me, because there's no way Kawhi is going to have quote-unquote MVP numbers unless you start going second level and third level to the beloved, the honored, the adored 40, 50, 90 club. You were alluding to it, Keyshawn, where you shoot 50% from the field, you shoot 40+% from 3, and you shoot 90+% from the free throw line. He is right on course. He's at 89% from the free throw line, but he's on course to join that hallowed group in the 40, 50, 90.
He's shooting 53 from the field and 45 from the 3.
Yeah, and to your point, that's 4th in the league in three-point shooting, even though in overall attempts, he ranks only 24th in the league. So he's not gunning. He's not shooting the way Luka shoots, where he's just going to jack up a whole bunch of shots. He's going to make a whole bunch of shots. But if if you watch this team the way I do, if you watch what happens, the driving force on this team is Kawhi Leonard. And this team will go as far as Kawhi takes them. And to Keyshawn's point, he's already played 43 games. If you look at the first 3 years he was a Clipper, he played total games in seasons, 57, 52, and 50. So he's already at 43. He's just going to blow past
he's going to blow past that.
Yeah, and trust me on this, because I know on this one, he is as healthy as he has been since his rookie year in the NBA. And he worked his tail off. He does not post about it on social media like a lot of people do, but he worked his tail off in the offseason to get this healthy. And he has no plans to be avoiding all the back-to-backs. I'm sure they'll pick one here and there, but the point is he's been playing back-to-backs. He's been playing higher minutes than usual. He's been playing his tail off the way he worked his tail off in the offseason. And if you know about like Keyshawn said, if you look at the second-level stats on defense, he's been top 10 in individual defensive win shares the whole year. He's 11th right now, but he's on the verge, he's on the edge of the top 10. Well, that's sensational when you can lead your team in scoring and be so efficient. This is like Kevin Durant stuff in efficiency. It
almost seems like y'all are describing Giannis Antetokounmpo because their record is better in Milwaukee. So you're talking about what they could be with the Clippers, but they're not. They're third in the West. So Giannis is averaging 31 and 11, always in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. And so that's what your MVP looks like. That's 24, 4, and 6 is not impressive, even with the 45% three-point. He doesn't shoot that many. So cool. It's a high stat. Fourth. I got you. 29th in field goal percentage, not top 50 in assists, and so you're 20th in scoring. It doesn't sound like MVP numbers to me. No. It sounds like when you're saying, hey, he's leading his team, that's what Giannis is doing. They go as he goes. That's what they do in Milwaukee. They go as Giannis goes. If Giannis is off and he doesn't play well, they're not going to win a championship in Milwaukee.
Okay.
So I hear
Richard,
what you're saying, but it just doesn't add up.
Keyshawn's point, there's burnout on Giannis as the MVP, and there's no burnout on Kawhi because this is all new. And again, the Clippers have been way better than I thought they'd be this quickly because James Harden has completely accepted his role as the orchestrator and the assist man.
And Westbrook.
You know what? If you watch closely and like if you look last night or yesterday it was in Miami, his role is actually shrinking. And I'm waiting for the other sneaker to drop because we're going to hear something from Russ if he doesn't get to play any more minutes. But
he's good.
He seems to have accepted the sixth man role even in smaller portions than I thought he would. I thought he'd still get to play 25 minutes a game.
He understands the bigger picture. Yeah. I understand the statistical side of the game.
Yeah.
Richard, you like that. There's no question about it. But when you start to think about, as I said to you, the train is just now being loaded, and it will eventually go down the track by the time the MVP race is finalized. It's just starting today. This is the first conversation that I can think of about Kawhi Leonard potentially having an outcome on the MVP race. Now, when you think about Giannis, he has amazing numbers. There's no question about it. Well, the coach got fired, okay? So that's going to ding him a little bit, plus the burnout going to ding him a little bit more.
Yep.
And Kawhi is continuing leading his team where people didn't ever think it was going to work. No. They always thought it was going to fall apart. He thought he wasn't going to be able to play 43 to 47 games. He would have probably played 20 games thus far this year. All of that is pluses for him.
Yep.
You have to factor that into the decision process as the voters start to cast their votes later on in the year. Yeah. Now, obviously,
again. Go ahead, sir.
No, go right ahead, sir.
I just don't. I mean, the only reason he's in the MVP conversation is because we're putting him in there and unnecessarily because his numbers don't even put him in the conversation with him.
Mm-hmm. How can it be unnecessarily?
Because there's nothing that says that about his numbers. If you look at the MVPs, the previous MVPs, the numbers are there. You look at Joel Embiid's MVP season. He had 31 and 11. You look at Jokic's 26, 12. It's what I'm saying is when you talked about Lamar Jackson's MVP candidacy, it was his team was dominant. They were the number one seed. They had the best record in the National Football League. It was far and away. They were obvious. So it still, his numbers weren't there, but his team was the number one team. This isn't the number one team in the NBA. And so they're not even the number one team on their side of the conference. And
they're
so
fourth
to put
in
him
the
in a
NBA
conversation
and they're
with
third in
guys
the conference.
averaging, he's 20th in points, though. That's what I'm saying. So you're talking about not the best team in the NBA, and he's not scoring the most. So if you said he was the best team in the NBA and he had these numbers, I would be like, okay, I can kind of see where you're coming from. Not really, but we're talking about guys that are putting up massive numbers and helping their team win games to the degree that their records are better than the LA Clippers. And we're talking about.
The whole point is, should he be included? Not that he won. This is the same conversation we tried to have you have with us about Lamar. We didn't say at the beginning.
But why would he be included?
Because his efficiency on both ends of the floor, things that he's doing, the team is winning. 25 of the last 30, they're hot as fish grease. That's why. This is why. This is the same conversation in a different sport with a different talent. So why are we having this
conversation about SGA? Because team is number one in the West, having a much better season than Kawhi Leonard.
Because we selected Kawhi to have the conversation, Richard. That's why we're having it.
So what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying this conversation applies to anybody on a winning team whose record is top 5 in their conference, and they're the best player on their team. They should be an MVP conversation. That isn't how it works, guys.
I'm sure in Oklahoma's region, Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, they're having that conversation.
They are.
But we're having a conversation about Kawhi. Based on what we saw yesterday afternoon, based on what we saw in the last 25 games, based on his statistical numbers that we continue to keep talking about, 89% from free throw percentage. That's one tick. What is that? He makes another 5 free throws. He'll be at 90. He's at 53 and 43. 53 and 45. He hits all the targets. That's all we're saying.
So does SGA is 31, 6 and 7. Number one in the West. But I'm just trying to understand what is the point of putting him in the conversation when his numbers don't put him in the conversation.
Richard, I have tweeted numerous times because I'm an Oklahoma City fan. SGA MVP ? I probably tweeted it 4 or 5 times over the last month because he is right in the thick of it. They had a nice win. It shouldn't have been this close. It took 2 overtimes to beat Toronto yesterday at home in Oklahoma City, but they did. And they're still hanging right in there, tied with the T-Wolves at the top. But the Clippers have caught both of them in the loss column, which is shocking to me. And remember, with 30-odd games left, if the Clippers stay on this pace and win 25 of their last 30 games, I'm just throwing some numbers out there, they're going to be in a battle to get to the top of the top. Like that,
they're 2 games behind OKC in Minnesota in the win column. 2 games behind.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
They got 30-some odd games to go. We're not saying today. We're saying tomorrow.
I just think he's officially entered the discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's only entered. You're forcing him into the discussion. His numbers don't put him there.
Well,
you just be ready to pay me on Lamar in what, Thursday? What is that? Thursday night.
You got to pay me on Kansas City, Baltimore.
I did not.
You just forgot about.
What are you talking about?
You 100.
No, I did not.
Baltimore.
No, I did
you
not.
100% did.
Bet.
There was no bet.
It was 100%. I need the tape. We got to start pulling tape on these dudes.
I know what I bet on. I did not bet. I bet you on Lamar to win the MVP, buddy.
Please pull tape on it. Please, guys. Pull the tape.
We will pull tape on that. But up next, could flag football ever replace real football in the NFL the way some people are talking about? We debate next.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.